What if I told you that this burnout you've been feeling, that this frustration you've been feeling, isn't actually something wrong with you? It's not that you're lazy, it's not that you're unmotivated, it's that you're in a phase of recalibration. How would that feel? How would that feel? It should feel good, right? Let me know down below. How does it feel to hear that? That nothing's wrong with you, that you're not broken, that you're simply resetting. I have been in the self-development space for a really long time. I've been on my own self-development journey for over probably about 15 years now, okay? As I was moving through my own journey, and this was over the last few years actually, I started recognizing this pattern of, ups and downs, right? And we all know there's ups and downs in life. But this was a very specific pattern that I noticed, and I started looking into it. I didn't really see anybody talking about it. So I decided, you know what, I'm coining it. The 3 energetic phases of self-development. And today we're going to talk about those 3 phases and what it means to be in each one, how to work with each one so that you can stop feeling burnt out and frustrated and just drained as you're moving toward your goals, okay? So that you can better understand your energetic state and flow with it instead of fighting yourself and forcing yourself to do things that your body and your mind are not ready for, okay? So let's get into it. So I'm just gonna get into it, right? Phase 1 is called the expansion phase. So the expansion phase, I think we all know it. It's that phase when you have a new idea and you're like ready to go. You're so motivated, you have so much momentum, you're inspired. You're like, let's just do this, right? I have an idea, I'm bringing it into life. And that's what you should do in the expansion phase, okay? The expansion phase is that phase when you really want to shrink the lag time between idea and execution. It is that phase where you really want to use that momentum, that fire, that creativity, and channel it into aligned action. We're going to talk about that in a minute as well, okay? Now, recalibration is the next phase. The recalibration phase is that phase where you're feeling a little bit dejected, maybe you're feeling a little down, you're starting to lose your energy. This doesn't mean you're low vibe. This doesn't mean there's anything wrong. This doesn't mean you can't keep your manifestations. Problem is, a lot of people do confuse this phase for failure. This is when most people give up. But listen, if you found this video and you're watching this video, I know that's not you. That's not the type of person I attract. I attract ambitious individuals. I attract leaders. I attract people who are ready to step into their mission and their higher purpose, okay? And so if that's you, which I'm fairly certain that it is, when you're in recalibration, you're not gonna give up. You're gonna remind yourself of the iPhone analogy. When your phone or your computer is restarting for an update, you're not gonna be able to use it. There's a little wheel, right? There's a little loading symbol. You can't use it. And that's not to say that you can't take action when you're in recalibration, but this is just an analogy to help you understand, like when you're updating, when your nervous system is stepping into new frontiers, there is going to be a phase where you need to reset, and that's okay. The slowdown doesn't mean you failed. It just means you're recalibrating, all right? And for this phase, it's very important to recognize that and allow yourself to be in that state, to rest. Rest is so important. You don't want to burn yourself out. This is where people really burn themselves out, where they're like trying to force productivity. They're like, I really don't feel like doing this. I can't focus, but they're like sitting there trying to force something. That is when your worst work comes out, especially if you're a creative, a teacher, a guide. That energy comes out in your work. You don't want that, okay? Go for a walk. Go do the dishes. Go do the laundry, right? Do something different. Get yourself out of the space. Allow yourself to rest and to slow down. It's okay. Listen, I know that for a lot of us, like ambitious people, we are people pleasers. We are people who tie our productivity to our worth. But I'm here to remind you that your productivity is not tied to your worth, right? You've done the work in the expansion phase. Now it's time to let it rest. Let it settle. Let it recalibrate, right? Your nervous system needs recalibration. This is when we go back to our nervous system regulation, when we do our EFT tapping, our breathing. We should be doing this often, but the recalibration phase is usually when you need it the most, because you need to remind yourself, I have faith in the process. I have to trust the process. I have to trust myself. I've done the work. I've set a foundation. Now my nervous system needs to get used to this new normal. Now the last phase is called integration. The integration phase sometimes comes so much faster than you expect, right? Because sometimes, and I'm sure you've experienced this before, let me know in the comments if you have, I know I have. You're in this recalibration phase and you're like in a slump and you're like doing the affirmations and you're like doing the nervous system regulation and you're kind of sitting there and you're like trusting the process. You are, right? You're reminding yourself, I'm so abundant. Abundance is my birthright. I got this. We're doing the damn thing. And then one day, you wake up and something feels different. Something clicked. You're no longer trying to convince yourself that you are abundant. You just are, right? You feel a difference. You feel an inner peace. You feel a knowing. The integration is when you have stepped into your ideal self. The integration is when you have transitioned into your highest timeline. You're no longer working toward it. You're no longer moving toward it. You're there. You have unleashed your ideal self. This new version of you, you are this version of you, and you're in your highest timeline. That is the integration phase. In this phase, you are going to feel grounded. You're going to feel calm. You're going to feel centered. You're going to feel this deep knowing that like, I'm here. All this work I've been putting in, I've made it. As you're working through these phases, right? And these phases are inevitably going to come. And this is the order that they come in. You really want to think about which phase am I in? And I want you to let me know in the comments, which phase do you think you're in right now based on what I just told you? Is it the expansion phase where you're feeling like super motivated and you're like, you have this momentum, you're doing the thing? Is it recalibration where maybe you've slowed down a little bit and you're like, okay, I feel like nothing's happening anymore. There's a little bit of a plateau, a little bit of stagnation, but I'm still holding the vision. I'm still standing strong. I'm still trying to keep myself grounded, right? Keyword trying, through nervous system regulation, meditation, breath work, EFT, affirmations, journaling, inner reflection. Or are you in the integration where you've stepped into your next phase? You are your higher self. You are your ideal self. You're in your new timeline. You're in that knowing state. You're grounded. Which one are you in right now? Let me know in the comments, okay? Sorry, my nose is a little stuffy today. I'm feeling something coming on, just staying hydrated. Now, regardless of what phase you're in, I want to remind you to practice compassion, right? I know sometimes, especially when you're in recalibration, that's the one where most people get tripped up. Like I said, that's where most people quit. You are not most people. You're not going to quit. You're going to remind yourself that you're restarting and keep holding the vision, keep taking the aligned action. And honestly, the aligned action is important across phases, right? You always want to keep the vision in mind. You always want to take aligned action toward your higher self. What does that mean? I want to give you a quick example. There was a time when I first started my business and I was in the expansion phase and I was like, whoa, this is exciting. I have all these ideas and they're, I need to get them out into the universe. However, at the time I had a visibility block. I was afraid of visibility. I was afraid of putting myself out there. I was afraid of sitting here making and uploading YouTube videos, of posting on Instagram, whatever. And so what I did is I spent a really long time, weeks, maybe even months, creating a website that no one ever saw. I spent weeks making this website instead of just creating a link tree and marketing it. Instead of just making content because I was scared of visibility. I was doing something that felt productive, right? I was doing all this work on the back end. It wasn't actually productive because it wasn't moving me toward my vision. It was avoidance dressed up as productivity. I was avoiding the visibility because of my visibility blocks, because of my fear of being seen, because of my fear of what other people would think. And I was doing this other thing that felt productive, but really it was busy work, right? And I was channeling all my energy into that. Man, I should have been channeling all that energy into something else, something that was actually going to align me with my vision. Do you get what I'm saying? Now, an example for recalibration. For recalibration, this one's a fun one because some of you may know that I quit my job back in August, okay? And I quit my job to go full-time on my business. And right now I'm recording this on October 14th. It is when I will upload it as well. So it's been about a month and a half, right? Since I've been full-time with my business. But it just hit me recently, okay? And so this whole time I've kind of been in that recalibration where, you know, when you have a full-time job and you're starting a business and you're trying to work on yourself and you're trying to keep your home in a good state, right? There's so much going on. So the other day, this was probably about a week or so ago, I finally integrated. I finally made it into phase 3, okay? I was sitting there doing the dishes and I had an idea. I had some inspiration. I was like, let me take action, right? And I went in and I started doing the thing, and I was rushing it. And I paused for a second. I was like, I literally talk to myself a lot. I really highly recommend it. I was like, what are you rushing for? Like, what do you have to do? And then I kind of started talking and reflecting, and I was like, I don't really have to do anything, right? That was the whole point of creating my own business. That was the whole point of quitting my job, is that I don't have to do anything, that I make my own schedule. Nobody tells me what to do. And so what am I rushing for? I can go finish the dishes later if I want to. I can go to the gym whenever I want. I can work on this for as long as I want. And if I'm feeling inspired, why wouldn't I, right? I have stepped into this new timeline where it is now my new normal that I run my own schedule. Nobody tells me what to do. I don't have to work based off anybody else's schedule or calendar. And finally, that hit me. And since then, I've really been able to settle into this new timeline. This whole time, my nervous system, this last month or so, my nervous system was recalibrating, even though it didn't really feel like a slump, because I always talk about this. Like, the way the cycle works is like, yeah, you're not going around in a circle, you're going up in a spiral. All right, so yes, you're repeating these 3 phases, but always on a higher level. And so I didn't really feel like I was in a slump or anything. It didn't feel like recalibration. Because what used to be my highs, this used to be my baseline, these used to be my highs, this is now my baseline, these are now my highs. And there's another level beyond that I haven't reached yet. And I'm so excited to reach. Right now, I'm just grateful to be here. When you're in the integration phase, which apparently I've just hit, when you're in that phase, you really want to sit in gratitude. You really want to look at how far you've come. Holy shit, this is my life now, right? Because the mind adapts so quickly. The mind adapts so freaking quickly that we get used to things like that and you forget. I'm sure this has happened to you, right? When have you manifested something and then you're on to the next thing? And then you forget that like the life you're living is literally what you were dreaming of years ago. I forget that a lot. I'll be honest, I'll be transparent. I forget that a lot. But here I am living my dream life. I feel like I haven't gotten into the expansion mode. That's something I haven't mentioned yet, is like, once you hit this integration, especially as an ambitious leader, which I know you are, at some point, the cycle's gonna wanna repeat itself and you're gonna go into an expansion mode again. New ideas, a new mission, a new vision, or maybe unlock the next level of your mission, right? The mission kind of always stays the same, just on new levels. I don't think I've hit that point of expansion yet. I'm still kind of integrating this new normal. But at the same time, like, I know that someday my vision will get bigger. And I do have a bigger overall vision that I've been working toward, but my next steps will come to me in due time. Kind of a little tangent there, but what I'm saying is that once you're in that state of integration, you really want to sit there and express gratitude and be present in it, right? There's a reason you've been manifesting this life. There's a reason that you've been wanting to step into this dream life, because you want it, because you desire it. So enjoy it. The whole point of life is not to live in the future, it's to be present. I talked about this in one of my videos. I think it was, I'm trying to remember what video it was. I'll put it up here when I figure it out. But essentially I talked about how manifestation cannot be done unless you're present, right? People mistake it for like living in the future, just constantly visualizing, daydreaming. You cannot create your reality consciously without being present in the now and paying attention to your thoughts, paying attention to what you're doing, making sure you're taking aligned action, okay? And understanding these 3 phases of energetic development, or these 3 energetic phases of development, is going to help you really stop fighting yourself, stop living in that burnout and frustration, and start living in flow with wherever you are right now, being compassionate for whatever phase you're in. Whether it's recalibration, don't judge yourself. You're not lazy, you're not unmotivated. You're just recalibrating. Your nervous system is getting ready to step into something different, to step out of the comfort zone, okay? In fact, you probably stepped out of the comfort zone during the expansion phase, or you should have. And now your nervous system is recalibrating. That's when your nervous system regulation is going to come in. You should be doing that often, but during recalibration is usually when you need it the most. The EFT tapping, the breathing exercises, the meditation, ground yourself so that you can trust the process without getting frustrated, without forcing, without burning out, right? Once you understand these phases, everything changes. Everything changes. And listen, I recently did a free workshop on these 3 phases. We talked about mistakes that people make in these 3 phases. We talk about how to work with each one so that you can step into your higher self with ease, into your highest timeline with ease. Okay, we go into them in more detail. We talk about the key signs that you're in each phase. We talk about what your job is in each phase, and we talk about how to integrate that into the higher self. It's a free workshop, by the way. All right, so you can go ahead and sign up down below. I'm gonna leave a link in the description, and I highly recommend watching it, especially if you're in a phase where you're feeling like just frustrated or you're not sure what to do next. Okay, this workshop is going to be the game changer for you, because now you have an understanding of the 3 phases. Maybe now you even know which phase you're in. Again, let me know in the comments. I'm really excited to hear like where you guys are at right now in your journey. And that'll also help me create more videos for you, because if most of you are in recalibration, I know that maybe I have to create more videos around that topic, right? So let me know in the comments. And then as you go deeper and you really start to work with these energetic phases, that is when the level up becomes easy peasy. Okay, it's always going to be work, right? There's always going to be that inner work to be done. But once you understand, you can stop fighting yourself. Okay, you can start working with whatever phase you're in and using it to your advantage, because not most people know this. And in fact, most people won't do this. I think I said it before, like most people quit in phase 2 because they mistake it for failure. But you're going to keep going. You're going to allow yourself to rest. You're going to recalibrate so you can step into your new normal, into your new timeline, into your highest self, okay? Because that's what we're here to do. We're here to change the world. We're here to raise the vibration of the earth. That's what this community is all about. And if that resonates, I invite you to join us. Please subscribe. I really hope this helped. Again, let me know how you're feeling. Let me know where you're at in your journey. Let me know if you have any questions. Go download the free workshop below in the description. With that, I am Merlina Azul, and I'll see you next time. Bye.